Restaurant Punk!
Welcome back.
Oh my.
Back again.
These are some badass Moulin Rouge right here.
Hey, yo. What
Look
you know
at you.
about
What
it?
happened to your pants? Wait,
Honestly,
were they...
The ghost.
This
You got
is
it from the
such like
priest?
that's such a dad comment of like, did you buy those pants with holes in it?
Yeah.
Which, yes, I did.
They're holy pants.
But I do have to say these ripped like all the way down to the ankle due to me.
Get some
dropping
Peter!
it. Dropping it.
Oh,
Oh,
Petey
so-
Pablo or
I didn't
Petrie
know
or
Petey
whatever
was
you
like
call
that,
him
but
now.
You know, it was a crazy summer.
Did you give me
Hi.
your panties?
What'd you
Ooh.
say?
Did you give me your panties?
My panties live at his house. Let's be
Oh.
super clear.
You know what? It's so funny. My panties live at Yanni's house. This shit is nuts.
All right, before we go down a rabbit hole of panty snatchers, Liz, you had the topic for the day.
Oh,
Yes.
panty snatcher 4,000, Liz. Let's go.
How do you feel? Because you've served for many years.
I have.
You've served too, right?
Please, I'm the best.
Do you want to go head to head?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, how do you feel about when you start a new restaurant and everyone assumes that you're gonna suck
You start as a server at a new restaurant?
as a restaurant? Don't you treat you a certain
yes.
way? It's like
Oh,
a turf
And then
thing.
like after a week of you working there and all of a sudden you're on the schedule more and then everybody's just like relying on you more and you're like, wait, last week you had a problem showing me where the ketchup was.
the ketchup. Who likes ketchup?
But no, I completely agree. It's like right off. But also, I feel like I might even fall. Like I try to really give everybody the benefit of the doubt, you know, and especially if I'm working somewhere where we need help and we have to train someone, I'm like, okay, I have the opportunity to train someone to do this shit. And that way, like we can, you know, obviously have better people. But at the end of the day, there's times to where I have someone who is dumb as a doorknob and I'm like, and then 2 weeks later, they proved to me that at least they're showing up on time.
Yeah.
They're doing the, you know, end of the shift work. They're doing side work. They're doing whatever. And I'm like, oh, damn, I did what I hate that people do to me.
Now, did you walk in say, all right, actually, we'll use you because you are one of the newest into our group. You walked into our new restaurant that we had. Nobody knew who you were. Did you walk in there with attitude said, I got this shit, I can do it? Or just like, I'll sit back and let them teach me?
Very much like I'll sit back and teach. I hadn't served tables in 7 years.
Man.
I took, because as
what
an
are you-
event coordinator, I was still in the service industry as an event coordinator, but I wasn't physically serving tables or in the restaurant industry in 7 years. So for me, I had started working at Scola. It was one of the newer restaurants in Cara Restaurant Group. And whenever I came out to dinner one night, I had met the owner, my friend knew the owner, and it was 2020 and I was like, yeah, let me just find a job. I walked in, Ashley, who works over at all of Georgia's restaurants, was actually working here at the time. She looked me dead in the eye when I walked in and she goes, can I help you?
Very friendly.
And if you know Ashley,
Very welcoming.
it's like, that's like such an Ashley intro as well. Like,
Yeah.
can I help you? And I was like, yeah, I'm starting tonight. Is Ben here? And she was like, oh, no. I said, is there anything that I can do to start? Like, it was my first night. And she goes, yeah, pick up a broom. So without saying anything, I just picked up a broom. I started sweeping. I was like, what else needs to be done? Like, is there an open sheet? I can just start knocking things off. I don't know where anything is and what to
Right.
do, but
So
I just immediately jumped right in.
So you walked into this restaurant that had not front of house manager, but you just walked in by yourself. Like you just went for it.
Yeah.
Like that's your mindset.
Yeah, and that's how I go everywhere because I'm new. I'm not going to act like my shit doesn't stink. The only time I ever did that was when I was getting an event coordinator job to get out of the restaurant industry. And here I am opening up a restaurant. I walked in and I was just like, I'm the only person for this job and I can make you more money than anybody else can make you hire me. And they were like, okay. I was like 20 at the time. I had way more balls, I swear. But with restaurants, every place is different. And I'm not going to come in on stomping grounds and act like my shit doesn't stink. So
Yeah,
I
but
come in and I just prove myself. Like I can prove myself in a week that I'm a good server without being arrogant.
Yeah, but my issue isn't with the person coming in. My issue with the people who are already there who act like complete assholes. And we're a team, and you're supposed to be working for the greater good of that store or that
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yep.
And you're treating the new people like shit. And I'm not saying you need to coddle them and be their best friend, but don't act like a complete asshole and assume that they're all
Well, they're
dumb.
losing money. They're
completely
losing money.
agree.
That's what they're
It's
losing.
not even that they're losing money because that's that same server that's like, oh, I want off Saturday night. Well, we don't have anybody else to work Saturday night, so you're going to show up. So
Yeah.
don't get pissy when we bring new people in.
Yeah.
And then be like, well, you want it off, so I'm hiring new people. You didn't want to work a double 3 days a week, so I'm hiring new people.
Yeah.
So now you're big mad because I brought someone else new in. And there's been so many places. I mean, honestly, again, Ashley gave me the warmest welcome. What are you doing here? Can I help you? Like I love just Ashley. Literally come in to like make a reservation, but I obviously was dressed in all black. But when I started working at Vintage, my first shift was with 2 servers over there, and they weren't the most welcoming. I'm going to be honest. And it was just, actually, I was just with 1 server that night, but like one of my next shifts, it was 2 people. And it was almost like they casted me out and didn't really help me, or like they were going after each other's tables and not helping me with my tables when I'm the newest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like almost like claiming territory and like they're
That's exactly what it
cliquey.
is.
And it's just like, for what?
Always.
It's just stupid. It's immature. It's short-sighted. You're like, you should be, I don't know. You should just be helping people when they're new, especially when they're new. So when I'm a bartender, when people come in, I go out of my way, which I think this is amazing. So sometimes other bartenders in other venues within my company, they can, bounce around to different venues, and they come in to help us out and pick up a shift. And no, it doesn't cross anyone's mind to show them where anything's at.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're so I'll take them aside. And I'm like, this is where this is, and that's where that is. I have like
show them the ropes.
sheets. Yeah, because we need to do well together. Mm-hmm. And it's a bad vibe when someone comes in and you're not showing them shit and you're being a dick and you're kind of, in a way, in my opinion, setting them up to fail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and it's short-sighted. It's just so dumb.
And it's almost like they don't want you to quit. And they don't, it's like they don't really want you to quit, but they just don't want to help.
They want you to suffer. That's what they want. They want you to suffer. They want you to say,
like maybe someone didn't
I've done this for so long and whatnot. And
exactly.
come
so
on.
they feel the need to
go
do
to
that.
McDonald's or Burger King, have your way.
With my friend Lena, she actually walked into Skull one day and we needed servers. And I don't even think I asked the owner, honestly, if we were hiring. I was more so just like, I know that we need servers. And I hired her and I asked her if she wanted to come in. And she had come in and I trained her and I just made sure that she was comfortable. And I didn't even know how young she was at the time. Mm-hmm. And not only are we great friends to this day, but whenever she had left Scola, at that point, she was like, hey, are there any other places? And I was like, oh, well, why don't you go try out YB or George's or other places? And because it was within the group and because I had shown her, like, just
courtesy and respect to what we
exactly,
have.
like
what we have, going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like showed her like a good culture. She had faith going into any other restaurant within the Care restaurant group, knowing that she was going to be accepted that way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing I have to pride most of our restaurants in is, I'm also saying that Ashley didn't give me the warmest welcome. I love that bitch, by the way. Mm-hmm, like I love her to death. And obviously she's just like tough. She's just tough. She gives tough love. So now that I know her, I'm like, oh, that's just her. She's not rude.
Yeah.
It's just, she gives tough love. But I want to say like overall our culture is really good. And we have,
So what do we tell the people that are watching us right now? So we have a 24-year-old woman walking into a new restaurant that has, we'll say 2 instances. One that has 45 seats, and then one is a corporate world. What do we tell them? How do they approach the situation?
You guys are working the same job, so what makes you think you're better than them? Like help them out.
Else. Even if someone treated you like shit when you came in, don't pass it on to the next person. Stop the cycle. But my other point is,
we break the cycle.
Break the cycle. Yeah, right. But the other thing is, when you come in as a new employee, go in with the intention of doing your job well. Don't come in slacking or just not being like you're having your head in the game. Like many, many years ago, I worked at this corporate restaurant. This kid came in and I was showing, and I'm very thorough. I didn't have to make my own manuals because they had their own, but I'm very thorough with training because I want people to have the answers. Mm-hmm. And I told him at the end of the shift, he trailed me that shift. At the end of the shift, I said, okay, we need to fill the salt and peppers on the table. So I leave him to do it. I come back to the kitchen. He is opening up to-go peppers and dumping them in the shaker.
No.
That is amazing.
No.
The professional part of me, because I was like 25, I'm like, what the are you doing? And he said, what? I'm feeling the salt and pepper like you told me to. I go, it's going to take you all day to do that, right? He's like, well, I was not trained on the proper procedure for filling salt and pepper. I go, if you need me to tell you that, then you're not smart. And then you can keep doing that.
I think you need a hug there.
Good
Missy.
catch.
Well, I'm just saying.
Good catch.
Goodness.
On the other side of it, if you're going to come in as a new employee, come in with the intention of doing a good job.
Ask questions. Like if someone tells you, hey, go fill up the salt and pepper shakers, just be like, okay, where do I find the salt and pepper? Is that in the kitchen? Or if you don't want to ask the person who's training you because they're a little bit tougher or they weren't showing you grace, go up to somebody else. Like there's other people that are going to help you.
But wait, I got this.
Oh, here we go.
So I was bartending.
This is going to be a good story.
It is. I was bartending and there was this bar back. He was
Sip.
he was in college.
Oh, he was in college?
It wasn't that I don't know, it
Oh,
wasn't that
this
bright.
was like
he
a while ago.
What are you talking about?
Liz is the smartest person she knows.
So another bartender asked him, "Do you know how to open wine?" And he said, "No." She's like, "I'm going to show you." So
Did she break the bottle?
take the foil off. They take the cork out. Take the cork off. The
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And then she says, "Okay, now all I have to do is just put the cork back in the bottle." And he said, "Okay, well, where did I get the cork from?"
Oh my God.
So I'm just saying, don't be that guy, okay? Just try just a little bit to use your brain, just a little bit.
But really quick, I want to flip this like 360. Now, as owners, wouldn't you be better have your server coming in and bus to learn the restaurant for 2 days before they start serving?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Because
I can agree with
that is the way that I learned from Cat Restaurant Group. So I came in, I bussed for 2 days. I learned where everything was. I learned how to
Sorry, a little bit of meatball.
oh, sorry, she had some balls in her mouth. But anyway, so I learned where everything was. Stop. This is serious.
Okay, sorry.
This is serious. Stop with your balls. But I learned where everything was. I learned where all the table numbers were.
Yeah.
Before I actually started serving. So what do we tell the server? What do you want to learn the restaurant first
Yeah.
and the kitchen first before you actually start
the
serving
kitchen.
to make it easy on yourself?
I have worked at places to where it's actually my sister is a manager there. I think I've talked about it in a previous episode.
You guys did.
Jack Allen's kitchen,
no.
not
I
Bob's
cannot
Steakhouse.
talk
No,
about
no.
Bob's Steakhouse in San Antonio.
It's Austin, Texas.
Oh, sorry.
But Jack Allen's, and when I started
Jacking
working
off who? What?
when I started working there, they had me like bus for a day, food run for a day, bartend for a day. Like they put me everywhere. I had to host for a day to learn the tables and the table numbers and how people are sat and all these things. And they took me through every element of the restaurant. And I only had to do it for like I think it was a week of training.
Yeah.
And I had to do a little bit, but they also tested you on menu items. Not only did they test you on menu items, they tested you on the sauces.
Should be.
Like if there was like some kind of sauce on a sandwich, they were like, okay, are there any nuts or this or that? And they had like a full blown like SAT test. And you would have to take a test every day that you were training in the department of where you were working that day. It was so difficult.
Amazing.
Mind you, now just talking to my sister the other day, they did $14,000 for lunch, $15,000 for dinner. They average $500,000 plus a month. And and they have multiple restaurants.
Are they hiring right now? Just wanted to know if they're hiring.
I know. And
They'll
like my sister
relocate
be
to
getting paid
Texas
the
with
big
their
bucks just
groceries.
to do payroll. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I used to tell her she was in the wrong industry, and here I am.
But like that's just like as an owner, I'd rather have the employee come in and learn everything first. But as a server,
You just want to make the money.
I just wanna make the
Yeah,
money
but
and
as
go.
a server, suck it up. It'll pay off. There's nothing worse than a table asking you a question. You don't know the answer because you didn't take the time to learn it, or no one took the time to teach you.
all right.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Well,
Liz still has balls in her mouth. So Restaurant Punk.
Yes.
we're out.
Out. Thanks, guys.